this week looks at the life, music and career of one of our most beloved musicians. I'm pleased to welcome Phil Lanzon into the studio with us from Uriah Heep and from your own solo work, as we'll be hearing as well. How are you today?
Well, I'm great. One little exception. I came on the train from home and the train had to stop and be rebooted. You see, now that's a sign of today, isn't it?
It's an interesting one, that, especially as there's a track on your album, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point, called Face to Face, which is all about that sort of thing. But anyway, you are here, having been rebooted, and thanks very much for coming in.
No problem at all, mate. Glad to be here.
So, Phil, we're going to talk about, really, I suppose that there's two current parts to your life. There's the Uriah Heep world, and then there's your second solo album, which is just been released as well. Obviously, Uriah Heep must be the thing that people want to talk with you about the most at the moment. How would you say it's the fan base is building at the moment? Because it does seem to be they've got a resurgence in popularity.
Oh, there's a huge resurgence, seeing especially the amount of work we've been doing on touring and festivals. It's been building over the last 3-4 years now to quite a height, especially since we did the Judas Priest tour of America and Canada just in May and June, 2 months over there. We got a lot of fans from there, and it was a brilliant show. And I have to say, every night we went on the stage, half the show, of course, half the audience aren't sure what to expect, obviously. The rest of them are, Heep fans are there, but they're mainly Priest fans. By the second song, they're giving it all this. And we go, oh, this is brilliant. And it happened like that every night, I swear to God. It was every single night of the tour.
What was it like touring with Judas Priest as well?
Oh, great fun. Yeah. Great bunch of guys. Really, really nice to be around. And it was, I have to say, it was a perfect matching, both bands together. I mean, it was 100 years of classic rock. You can't go wrong. It's a good ticket.
Good value ticket.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to. I want to have a look back at how you got into this crazy world of rock and roll. But we are, of course, going to play some songs that you've picked, and we've got an amazingly diverse mix of tunes that you've got here. We're going to start with some Boston and "Don't Look Back," which is a great track here. What drew you to this?
Well, it's Thomas Schultz. Thomas Schultz was a genius, going back to those days. You know, looking back on his talent and his the sound that he created. His playing, it's basically a sound. It's a complete wall of sound, but in the modern sense, or in those days, a modern sense. Totally blew me away when I heard it, and the use of the twin leads back in those days. Of course, it's old hat now, but it was great then. It was like these get the hairs on the back of my neck standing up. I thought, this is brilliant. I want this.
Is it true that you were forced to play the piano as a kid?
Well, the story is very simple. I was 8 years old. I had a dentist appointment. Now, at that age, you didn't really like going to the dentist.
I don't know that you do at any age.
It was horrific. You'd get a card through the door with big writing on it saying, gas appointment.
Gas?
Yep. And it scared the horrors out of any kid, not just me. However, it was on that day. And it was on that day, coincidentally, that my mother had booked my first piano lesson. I had an idea that I was going to be sent to piano lessons, so I thought, well, we'll live with it. Anyway, the day came for the dentist appointment and the piano lesson on the same day. And I can distinctly remember lying in bed saying to Mum, I'd rather go to the dentist, Mum. And she just looked at me. She said, you'll go into both and you'll like it.
And do you remember how the dentist worked out?
No, I got no idea. It would have been horrendous.
The piano worked out okay.
The piano worked out all right, so it was a reversal of roles, I suppose.
Did you stick at those piano lessons?
Yeah. I know for about, I suppose about 5-6 years.
Same teacher?
Same teacher, yeah. No, 6 or 7 years. I went through all the early grades and did all that. But then there was a little piano concert, the first ever. I was about 10 or 11, and my friends who also played, we had a little gig to do with a whole load of other musicians, kids. And I think that's where I got the taste for the stage. It's not so bad after all. I think I'll have a go at this.
Thanks, Mum. Well, you had a choice. You could have gone into dentistry or... Oh, so there you go. You ended up in the right place.
I don't want to mess about with molars.
We're going to... Excellent line. There's a song title there. Hang on with that one. Okay, well, let's go with another of the greats that you've picked here. You've gone with Gary Moore. Now, you played in a band called Romance with Neil Carter. Neil went on to work with Gary Moore. Did you work with Gary yourself?
No, I didn't personally, but it's through Neil who gave me a copy of the album, Back on the Streets, and it's the opening track. Oh, it blew me away. I have to say, it was just amazing. It's all guitars. I'm a keyboard player. It's all guitars. You get to the guitar solo, there's a double guitar solo, one on top of the other. And I thought, this is what you call over the top. I like it. If you're going to do it like this, this is it. And it's a great song as well. It's a great rocker.
So, Phil, when you were doing all of your piano lessons, and as you say, you went through actually a fairly classical training.
Yeah.
Were you on the side listening to rock, or did that come later?
Oh, no, I wasn't interested in classical music at all.
Right.
Not the slightest bit. I mean, my father, he liked a bit of Mozart. My brother used to play a bit of classical as well as jazz at home. So I was used to hearing it, but I wasn't into it that much.
Yeah.
I turned the other way and I went into pop music, pop and soul. The Who came up. The Who was the first band. Small Faces. That's my early. Apart from the Beatles, which of course I adored for the songwriting, it was more the Who, Small Faces, from the soul world took me into that early part, and I rebelled against everything classical. Wasn't interested, and went off for that for a few years actually.
What was your first non-piano keyboard instrument then that you got on?
I think it was called a solette.
Oh,
it was an electric.
I don't even know that one.
It was an electric keyboard of sorts with funny little sounds on it.
Right. Your first rock band, or your first band?
First band was when I was at school. I was still at school, and I was out. I was missing classes and going to auditions and rehearsals with the band. This would be 65, beg your pardon. 1965 and 1966. By the time I left to school, I was away. I was on a little tour of Italy with my first, I say, second or third band by then.
Yeah.
So that was back in 67. I left school in 66. Oh, God, it sounds terrible saying that.
It wasn't that long ago. It was an extraordinary time for music.
Oh, my God. Well, if you want to talk about that, I can stay here for years.
Well, we probably should a bit, because, of course, the point is that you had the opportunity to go and do that stuff and to go and tour Italy. I mean, 10 years before, that would never have happened.
No, that's quite right. We were, or should I say, I was right at the cusp of where things were changing. I mean, the early, or should I say, the rock and roll of the 50s and Elvis, etc., had moved into the early 60s with the Beatles and Stones style, and it was all amalgamating. This massive talent was amalgamating by the middle of the 60s. It was rife. Everybody was doing it, and it was interesting. That's when I got involved in it quite heavily once I left school. I was off and running. And then towards the late 60s, there was the movement towards the flower power thing, and the hippie thing grew out of that. So you can imagine, from the incept of the Beatles being successful to the early 70s, that 10-year period spawned practically most of the talent that's around today in its form, because you went into prog rock after that, progressive, yes, and Genesis. So it was, I'm very privileged to have been, there at the time and witnessed it all. The 60s was the most interesting experimental time, I think, in music and pop and rock music. Hopefully it will come again. Who knows?
There's an argument to say that it never went away, but we'll get onto that, I'm sure.
Oh, good. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Rick Wakeman said that the moment that he believes changed keyboard players' lives forever was when Robert Moog invented the synthesizer, because then they could play at the same volume as everybody else.
Good point. The MIDI, I never got to use it much in those days. I mean, I thought it sounded amazing, and the things you could do with it. So I used to spend a lot of time in Denmark Street playing all keyboard players who were in there making a hell of a din. But it was back then, when I was, let's say that was quite in early times, I couldn't actually afford one in those days, and it was a question of playing one in Denmark Street just to get the buzz. But yes, it was the most significant instrument. And still today, I mean, I use it on my new album, because, it is a priceless instrument. The sound is unique. You're hearing Mini Moog and nothing else. And for me, it's a great solo instrument.
We should play that track, actually. That's on Azura's theme, right?
Correct.
This album is huge. The sound is extraordinary. Where did you record that?
Well, with the various studios.
Okay.
All the orchestra stuff was done in Air. All the rest was done at Masterchord. And it's North London, but I can't think of the actual area.
But a bunch of studios, but clearly with producers, or a producer who knows what they're recording.
Simon was really hot on this sort of thing. He's very precise and very picky, and he does things exactly his way, and I leave him to do it, and that's why it sounds the way it does. The piano, I remember, was recorded at Ralph Salmon's bunker. He's got a little studio with a lovely piano, one of the nicer ones. So we used that studio for that, and the rest was done. Stuff was done in Richard Cottle's house. He's got a little studio there. He writes for orchestras and he's choirs. He does all that business. That's his department.
Yeah.
And the arranging, he does all that.
And did your arranging as well?
Oh yeah. No, we spent a lot of time together because I wanted it to be an orchestral sounding album anyway from the off. And he's the man for the job. He's got the contacts. He does all the scoring and the choir work. He does all that. So that's self-contained with one man, which is great. So we work together on it and go, okay, I want this. Let's have that. I want an intro that does this. He'd sit down and work things out and go, no, try that, key change. And it's all those little things that you work together with somebody who knows what you're talking about. It's bliss to work with the guy. It's fantastic.
So when it all comes together in the mix, and you sit and you hear that for the first time, like I did, and it's like, whoa, this is spine-tingly stuff.
It is good. I mean, it really is. I honestly, to be fair, I don't often listen to albums that I've recorded with the band or whoever after they've been recorded and released. You might pick on a track and go, hey, listen to this. But I'd never actually sit down and listen to it again because it's done. But I found myself listening to a few of these tracks more often than I would any other album.
It's a marvellous thing. Tell me about, we'll play as Uriah theme here. Tell us about this.
The opening track is, truth is, I was on a flight, landed somewhere, and you know sometimes when you land on a plane that music plays or something's playing. Well, on this particular occasion, it was extremely uninteresting, except for this one motive that repeated. And I thought, well, that's really boring. But those 3 notes, I could do something with them. And I seriously thought, it sounds like cliched, but I thought, that's got something. I can do a chord change that makes it do this. So I got home, obviously, and
you remembered it.
I remembered it and put it down. And I thought, well, this is definitely the foundation for something.
Wow.
So I put the melody to it.
Let's listen to this, because this is from Tiny Acorns. Amazing Things Grow. Listen to this. I guess that's Uriah's theme, the opening track from his current album, which is 48 Seconds, which is an amazing sound, and it's got a bit of mini moog in there as well, just to make it extra interesting. When you're writing your solo stuff, ideas like that you described coming off the aeroplane, you just getting ideas all the time, are you?
Oh yeah, you get periods of like that I just explained, but then it can be a dark moment where you'll get nothing from outside at all.
Right.
Things do come because your profession is that, and you're steeped in all that, so it just flows around. It comes out when it wants, which is quite often, which is great. You can sit down, have an idea, put it down and save it for later, and that's what we do.
Brilliant. So second album, first album, as you say, If You Think I'm Crazy, second album is out now, which is 48 Seconds. And you're happy with the second album, I'm guessing, because it is a wonderful sound.
Yes, I think it's great. I'm sorry to say that.
No, you should. You should. It's not a problem, you know. If it's terrible if you came in and went, I'm
not too happy with this one, you know.
But we put it out anyway.
Yeah.
We'll talk all things Uriah Heep in a few minutes after another piece of progressive rock, although this one from an interesting source. You've chosen Yes, but you've gone with Own of Lonely Heart from their 90125 album, which is the Trevor Horn era Yes.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is, of course, Yes, there's so much material you can go on. I had to choose one. How the hell do I choose one? So I decided to choose it from the production point of view. Great song, amazing producer. The guy had his finger on the pulse when it came to sound production. That's why I chose that track, was purely from the production point of view. Oh, and of course, a great song, well performed, Trevor Rabin, etc. I mean, come on, great combination.
So we need to talk all things Heep, because we've got lots of Uriah Heep fans listening at the moment. How do you land in that then? Tell me the journey into Uriah Heep.
I was with Sweet.
I love Sweet.
Yeah, I was with Sweet for a couple of years. We did some touring, Australasia, and recording. I did some work in Europe as well. Did a live recording at the Marquee. I co-wrote 3 songs on that album with Paul Mario Day, who was a singer at the time. And while this was going on, Heap was having a little change of personnel. Things were changing there in that camp. And through various contacts, I got contacted by Mick while I was in Tasmania.
Tasmania?
Excuse me.
Nice.
It was a cool place, actually. So the vacancy was there. Our sound engineer at the time had recommended me. So Mick contacted me and said, would I be available? I said, yes. As it happens, the Sweet thing is not going to Sweet at the moment. I'd be interested, maybe we can meet up. So while I was on the phone, public telephone in Tasmania to Mick Box in London.
Surreal.
Right. I was writing down on a piece of paper like this with a pen that hardly worked, the titles of the songs he wanted me to learn while I was in Tasmania.
That's rock and roll.
Well, that's how we did it back then. And so I wrote them all down, and somebody I knew had a cassette, and they gave it to me, and it had all the songs on it. It was like the best of or whatever it was at the time. So I literally learnt the songs in my hotel room, and I remember distinctly the room, and listening to the songs over and over again and learning them in my head. So when I got back to England after the tour was sweet, we went straight in, and actually Mick came round my house, and we had a few drinks and had a chat, and thought, well, let's get together and do it.
Rest is history.
The rest was history, mate. 33 years later.
I know. It must have flown by. Is it? Well, no, bearing in mind that there's interesting if you come into a band at that point, because there's a back catalogue which you had to learn and then play. What do you do? Do you play it faithfully, or do you kind of do your own thing on it?
Well, initially, yeah, you play it faithfully until it sits right and you feel right with it, and then over time you start changing a little bit here, to improve a bit here, or change it or cut out a bit there. A little bit of editing, and away you go. And that was what it was, and that's what it is today.
But it's a fun gig, clearly, because 33 years on.
It's a fun gig because every time you go on stage, there's a new set of eyes looking at you going, wee!
Yeah.
If it's the same audience every single night, he'd probably last a week.
Good job that doesn't happen. Let's go with another of the songs that you picked here. And you've gone for another guitarist. You've gone for Fleetwood Mac and Oh Well. You've gone for Peter Green.
Yes, there is a good reason for all of these choices. I am primarily a song man. Yeah. I'm not an avid instrumentalist. It's not my thing. I like to write and listen to. I like to listen to songs, hear songs, and write them. That's my number one. That's my criteria.
Okay.
That's why you might find there's a few pro guitar things here, especially this, which is the most. I don't know how to explain this riff on this song.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
The sound itself, and it's Peter Green. It is class, absolute class. And when you hear it amongst other songs of today or other riffy type songs, that's the one you go, hey! As soon as I hear that riff, I'm off.
So there are no shortage of young musicians who want to make it into the heady world of rock and roll, which is great news. It's not. This is something that's fresh and vibrant and fabulous, as we find on Planet Rock all the time. If you could give them one piece of advice, because the world has changed, I imagine, since you tried to get into it.
It has.
What would it be?
The most important thing, really and truly, is having the passion and will to play, to perform, to write, any of those things. It has to be in you, and it's a really difficult one to answer apart from that. Passion is the most important thing, and just the love of playing. If you have those two things, you've got a good start.
There must have been times, I'm guessing, then, when things in the career haven't gone so well, and it's that passion that keeps you pushing on through, right?
It's like story writing, like my novel writing and things like that. There's something you need to say. In novel writing, is something you need to say. You need to get it on paper. You need to write it down because it's bugging you, and you can't rest until it's down. It's the same with music. It's got to be something that comes directly from the heart and the soul. If it doesn't come from there, it's not going to work.
Okay, so let's go through the list then. Uriah Heep. So we're looking forward to obviously you got more shows to play this year anyway. Details on the Planet Rock website for that, of course, and next year, big anniversary, so looking forward to that. Solo album is 48 Seconds is out now, and that's good. If you want to read your book, Curse of the Mud Chalk Devil.
You got it. On Pegasus Publishers, it's available from Waterstones.
Horrible phrase, but what's the elevator pitch?
I'll tell you right now. When an inquisitive and determined young girl discovers she can see music as well as hear it, she uses this power to destroy the curse of disharmony engulfing her world.
Now, that's something that must have been inside your head for a long time, because that stuff doesn't just fall out of you.
No. It came from a period of discovering that there's a lot of young folk, from the age of 9, 10 upwards, that don't get listened to a lot, and they end up going into their own little world, which is a common thing. I mean, it's probably common with most kids. And I didn't want that to happen. I wanted my kids, because they're 12-year-olds in this story, 12 and 13-year-olds, they have found their own, because of her talent, being able to see music, it presents itself as this thing which you can see, she sees, and she uses it as, I have to say in the end, that she will use it as a weapon.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
How long was that gestating before it managed to come out? And
donkey's years. I used to travel, we travelled all over the world with the band, and I'd be scratching bits out and rewriting bits and thinking it again and then putting it on the shelf for a year and then coming back to it. So over a period of about 20 years, I was gathering the idea.
Okay, so in summary, we've talked for an hour, we've talked about life, the universe and everything. Would it be fair to say that you are a contented chap at this time?
Yes. To a large extent, but the thing is, the cogs never stop turning. So, yeah, you get moments of content, then you go, oh, I need to get on with so-and-so, and you're on with that. So this week it'll be music, and writing, new stuff.
It's been brilliant to have you in. Thank you very much. We have one more piece to play. And
Okay.
you've picked Simon & Garfunkel, The Boxer.
Oh, yeah. Purely his inspirational lyrics. Paul Simon's inspirational lyrics. Hats off to him. You can't beat it.
We look forward to seeing you in whatever guise it will be. And thank you so much for coming in to talk with us today.
Shepherd's Bush, 27th of October.